Hello, Robert.
Hello, sir. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for doing this. This has been quite a journey for you, hasn't it?
Usually it is always quite a journey for Thomas, but this series, more than any others, he has been on a very, very long and profound and harsh journey, yes.
How early on do you know where the character is going to go?
Usually every year we start filming in February, and then at the beginning of February we'll have a read-through. Sort of in the early January, scripts will start dropping through the door. So, say the first 5 episodes, and then you sort of get an inkling. That's over half the series of the arc that your character is going to take. So it's usually sort of a month or so before. There's no sort of long-term chats with Julian Fellows, saying this is where the character's heading. It just the guy's won an Oscar. You trust him. The script's going to drop through your door, and it's going to be pretty much spot on.
Now, I think that's a challenge for an actor, is that you are inhabiting Thomas, and you have lived him for 5 years now, and you make choices along the way how to present things. How do you make sure your vision of the character ends up matching with Julian's?
It's a very good question, but the beautiful thing about Julian's writing, because he's such a good writer, any one actor or person can read a scene and play it completely different. You can play it so many different ways because it's so well written. So another actor might play Thomas completely different, and it wouldn't stand out and look silly or anything because it's just all there in the writing. I guess I'm doing an okay job though, because I think I would have been sacked by now if I wasn't. As you mentioned, I've done 5 series, so I must be doing something slightly right, hopefully.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because the little rumor mill tells me originally you were only supposed to be in the first series.
That's correct. Thomas, I remember when my agent was sort of saying, look, listen, you've got the part. It's a great part. Everyone in town wants him because he's the bad guy. The only downside is he's either going to get sacked or killed at the end of the first series. And I was like, well, never mind. It's a brilliant part, and I'm just happy to be honest with you. So as the series progressed, after we finished filming episodes 1 and 2, the producers came up to me and said, listen, we love what you're doing. Would you love to stay on for another 2 series? And I was like, yes, please, because it helps to pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled to be asked back on board, and also nice to have recognition from your peers and the producers and Julian that, his what he wanted for the character, you seem to be achieving in some way. I'm glad they did have me back, because I've had 5 fantastic years.
Well, before we let you go, a question I do have to ask you. Now, we've seen Thomas have that little consultation with Dr. Clarkson. So what do you think is the actor Thomas took away from that discussion? Is he going to accept who he is? How does he move forward after that?
Well, I think there was an acceptance before he even had the consultation with Clarkson that he couldn't change who he is, and that was madness. I think that acceptance was realised when he finally reached out to Baxter and said, listen, I need help here. So I kind of think the seed was sown there already that, Thomas, after that, I can't see him going back out and trying it again. He'd gone too far, and he'd realised that, and that's why he asked for Baxter's help. So I just think Clarkson's definitive sort of analysis of the situation is the final nail in the coffin, and it allowed, and from a medical professional, Thomas to sort of just think, no, I've been, this is the actions of a madman, and I've, and you can't blame him for doing it at all, because of the pressure of society was on him at the time. But I think he sort of realises, no, I've been crazy here. I can't change who I am. It's a fool's errand, and he's going to hopefully look at other ways to make himself happy without going down those sort of dark routes, as it were.
Yeah. Is Baxter's kindness going to warm his heart?
I think so. I think he's thawed out a bit, hasn't he? We see at the end of the episode that because this is a woman that he threatened and tried to blackmail, and yet still she's come to help him in his hour of need. That's something Thomas would never do. So when he sees the fact that she's done that, he's like, wow, what an amazing person you are. Maybe I'm going to be nice to you from now on. So I think, hopefully, he will be. But, I mean, I could get the script from Julian for this series and find out that he's doing the complete opposite. But, no, I think he now... Baxter was there for him when he needed the most, so he's now a friend for life. One thing you can say about Thomas, he might be conniving and stuff like that. If you win his admiration and respect, he'll be a friend for life.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being our friend for the moment and coming to us in our time of need. Robert, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.